Hey, restaurant pros, does restaurant accounting make you feel like you're 10 years old, sitting at your schoolroom desk, and it was the first time you're being asked to solve for X? Can you remember the feeling like this has got to be a foreign language that you're just not going to be able to speak? Yet years later, you were doing algebraic equations like a pro, or at least you were well enough to pass the class. Well, restaurant accounting can throw you for the same loop. And like algebra, it can be learned well enough to pass the class, meaning you may not be able to be a restaurant accountant, but you will be able to read your financial statements and use them to run your business. Stay with me, and I'll break restaurant accounting down into its most simple form so that you'll be able to make accounting work for you. I'm David Scott Peters, restaurant expert, coach, and creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula, and I've been coaching restaurant owners since 2003, and I'm really glad you're here to learn. Today, I want to simplify restaurant accounting for you forever. Hey, but before I get into that, if you like tips and tricks like this, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and oh yeah, that bell so you're notified when my next video tip comes out. And for more tips and tricks for running a profitable restaurant or restaurant owner success stories, make sure you tune into my podcast, Restaurant Prosperity Formula, found on all the popular podcasting services. Okay, what if I told you that 8 out of 10 restaurant owners don't understand the basics of restaurant accounting? Would you believe me? Heck, if you're one of them, there's no need to bury your head in the sand and hide. You're not alone. And on today's video tip, I'm going to simplify restaurant accounting to help you get over any fear you may have. So I'm going to break it down into 3 pieces: the balance sheet, your profit and loss statement, and your general ledger. Let's start with the balance sheet. Old school people like me, old timers, we used to use green bar paper. And the whole idea is on one side you have assets, on the other side you have liabilities, stuff, and who owns the stuff. So for instance, you may own a building, you think you own it. No, you have a building. The bank owns the stuff. Hey, when your broadline distributor drops off food and you didn't pay for it, you now have food, but the purveyor owns it until you pay for it, right? So there's assets, things, stuff, and liabilities, who actually owns it. Now, our goal is at some point in time, we go back to the building as you pay down your balance on your building. At some point in time, you're owning a portion of your building, and that's something called owner's equity. Again, the thing about a balance sheet is the stuff and who owns the stuff should balance. They should be the exact same amount of money. And that's what a balance sheet is. But to break it down even in a more simplified form, imagine if I had a Polaroid camera, right? Take a picture and then it comes out and you wave it in the air until it then develops. And there's a picture in time of the health of your business. That's truly what a balance sheet is. It's the health of your business. Now, I want you to imagine if we take a picture at the end of last month and we take a picture at the end of this month, what happened in between is called the profit and loss statement. A profit and loss statement truly is how much money you made or lost. Now, it's important to understand it doesn't always tie to your cash flow. You have things like amortization, depreciation, interest expense, which are not true cash flow items. For instance, if I buy a piece of equipment, the government says, hey, you spent $20,000 on it, but you're going to write off an equal monthly amount of that over the next 5 years, the use of that item, which means you may be out $20,000 cash, but you've got this $1,000 payment that goes in, and that's all you show for expenses. So don't tie your P&L to how much money you should have in the bank. It is truly how much money you made or lost in order to pay your taxes. But again, to simplify things, if we look at this and say, here's a picture in time, the balance sheet, here's a picture in time, another balance sheet, the profit and loss statement in between, well, that's the moving picture. That's the movie showing what happened every single day, from broadline distributors dropping off product and your team putting it in the kitchen, prepping it and selling it, to customers walking in the door and giving you money. People clocking in and clocking out, literally step by step by step. Everything that happens, you can see what happened in between those 2 pictures in time as if you were watching a movie. That's what a profit and loss statement is. Now, there is one more step, and that's the general ledger. Now, if the balance sheet is a picture in time and the profit and loss statement is a movie, then guess what? Your general ledger is the script, the line by line by line. As I mentioned, we had the broadline distributors show up and drop off $3,000 in product, but $2,500 was at food. We had paper, janitorial, small wares, equipment on that same truck. And so that gets put in the right bucket, if you will. We may have had payroll, but we had servers and bussers and hosts and prep cooks and dishwashers and line cooks and barbacks and bartenders, managers, salaried and hourly. You get the picture? It makes sure that line by line by line, what was said, what actually happened when we watch that movie. It's the transcription, if you will. So when you really think about, hey, I don't understand this accounting thing, it's pretty damn simple. Picture in time, the health of my business from one picture to the next, the movie of what happened in between, and the line by line script that was followed. Now, I'm going to tell you one last piece about this. If you truly want to understand that you've got to have the right script, meaning the right way to put that script together, well, that's understanding your chart of accounts. And so what I want you to do is I want you to watch this YouTube tip entitled Accounting Chart of Accounts, right? Restaurant accounting chart of accounts. This is important because I'll walk you through the step-by-step on where your chart of accounts, what they should look like, because there is no such thing as a wrong chart of accounts, but they can be laid out in a very specific way that when you read your financials, they mean something to you, that you don't have to call your accountant and say, I don't understand what this number is. You know, because you told your accountant exactly what goes in each one of those line-by-line items. Now, if you want to deep dive into what successful restaurant owners know about their accounting, I've got one more thing what I want you to do. I want to make sure you watch or listen to episode 22 of my podcast, Restaurant Prosperity Formula. This one is entitled Restaurant Accounting to Know to Run a Successful Restaurant, where my good friend and founder of the Largo Group, a restaurant accounting firm, Ann Gannon and I pull back the curtain and reveal what you need to do, what you need to know to succeed. If you're tired of not being able to leave your restaurant because no one else knows how to run it, I want to make sure you know it doesn't have to be that way. You can leave your restaurant. It is possible to build a team of people who know how you want the restaurant to run with trained and responsible people in place. You can give yourself time away. What would you do if you had time away from your restaurant? Would you sleep better? Would your relationships improve? Would you feel more relaxed? These are all things you deserve to experience as a business owner. It's why we own our own businesses. If you would like to learn how to own a restaurant that doesn't depend on you to be successful, click the link in the description to watch a free video to learn exactly what you have to do. Also, be sure to subscribe to get my weekly tips and watch these two videos to get more information and guidance for running a successful restaurant.